Hello, I think I'm live. Yep, live. So look. Hello and welcome to the live stream. This stream isn't going to be like a big chatty one. I'm not going to be walking through everything I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be working on it, and if anyone wants to stop along and ask questions in the chat, you know, I'll answer those. But for the most of the time, I'm just going to be working kind of with this nice, lovely music in the background. Yeah, and just working away. So let's get started. I need to close this project. Bring this one back. If anyone's been following along with the inventory tutorial series, this is the current kind of state of that. This is the shop system. It's all been set up and it's working. I'm just ironing out the last kind of few bugs before recording some videos on it. But yeah, it's quite cool. I'm quite happy with it. So you can see that we're picking up these items here. And then I can go over here. This person's selling a wizard hat and some potions, and I can buy couple of potions from them. And then we can go over here. This person's selling a sword. Let's buy a sword. And then we can sell some items as well. So we've got our swords here. We've got our health potions. Let's sell some potions to this person. So we're going to get a 300 gold from that. So we've got 850. And you'll notice as well, just out of interest, that I've set it up so different shops can have different markups. So the magic shop, it's raising the prices of the base value that I've defined in the scriptable object. So the wizard hat has a base value of 100. But you can see that if I take the wizard hat over to the shop, you can see he's selling it for 150 and he's going to buy it for 50. And I can control that through these this markup here, the sell and buy markup. So I'm quite happy with it. But yeah, the first thing I want to do is make a crafting system. So this project's ended up a bit of a mess. It's my utility project. Before I get mega started, I'm just gonna make a branch. Still quite new to source control though. New branch. Feature. Crafting system. And we've checked out the crafting system branch. So if I go back and open up so it's all tied into the inventory system. I kind of really need to rename this. It's more of like an item system at this point, because we've got the inventory, we've got the shop, and they're all tied in together. So it's not all specifically inventory, but the inventory was the core kind of system that I made first before branching it off into the shops. Because obviously that takes things from people's inventories. Crafting is also going to be tied into the inventory because they'll need to make sure the player's got the right items. So I think, I mean, for now it's fine. It's just my folder structure. I think maybe it needs a bit of an update. We've got our inventory here. I can rename the folder, I suppose. Just I can't be bothered renaming all of the namespaces because it seemed to break, confused like loads of other scripts. So I'm actually just going to keep that. I don't want to mess with it too much. So let's make a folder and we'll call this the crafting scripts. And let's just load that up. So my general plan with this. So we've got our inventory, which is going to have some items. I'm going to need some sort of workbench, like anvil, crafting table, whatever, to bring up some UI to craft, like on. We're going to need some recipes that kind of define an amount. We're going to need items that can be crafted. So I'm thinking maybe I put them in my item script. So we've got my items. Got my item scriptable object, which is, where is it? Item scripts, inventory item data. So I'm going to need to sort of, so the inventory item, which is technically just an item at this point, this will need some sort of recipe. And if it has a recipe, then it's craftable. If it doesn't have a recipe, so if we put a recipe script on and the recipe is null, then we know it's not craftable. So that'll be a good way of checking that. So let's make a recipe script first. So I've got my crafting scripts. Let's do that. Got a crafting recipe. Let's open this up in Rider. Crafting scripts. We've got a crafting recipe. So the idea I'm doing here is to do a crafting ingredient, which will keep track of a type of item and how many of that it needs. Don't need them. So public inventory item data. Item required. Do public int amount required. Hello, Brickman? Brickman, yeah. I need to pop out my window, the chat window, because I've just realised I can't see it apart from on the stream. YouTube chat. Oh, it should be popped out. Where is it? Doc YT chat. Ah, I need to put in the URL. There we go. I can see my chat now. I forgot to set that up. Brickman. It was Brickman. Hello. I don't know if you're still there. I hope you didn't think I was ignoring you if you are. So a crafting recipe is going to have a list of crafting ingredients. So system.serializable. I always forget the create asset menu kind of thing, and I want to make sure it sits under our inventory system. So I'm just going to copy that one from here. This is going to be a crafting recipe, which will have a list. It will have a serialized field, private list, which we'll be able to get. So let's go back over to our project. So we can make a new crafting recipe, and let's name this sword recipe SO. So in our ingredients, gonna have, why can't we because they weren't serializable, because they need to be public. Hey, cookies, chocolate. So we can now see that we've got item required. So our sword item, so it's going to need oh no, I didn't mean to make a new crafting recipe. Create inventory system, inventory item data. So let's make a wooden stick. Description basic, crafting ingredient. I don't have an icon or a physical representation of it yet. That's fine. And then let's make inventory system, inventory item data, iron bar. Or just iron. This is iron, description, basic, metal, crafting ingredient. We'll go back over to our sword requirements. It's going to need say it wants one wooden stick and 3 pieces of iron. And I'm going to change my naming convention here. I'm going to put ing at the front of ingredients just so it's easier to filter them down. Yeah, I could go further and put like ing underscore metal underscore iron and then same but gold, silver or whatever. But the premise there is that when I'm looking at this, I can just ing. Another option would be to have those items be like inherit, like be a different class that inherits from our inventory item data and have like a crafting item data. But this should work now. I just heard my gate, I think. No, maybe that's next door. Alright, so we've got a recipe for a sword. So we've got ingredients, and then I guess we need like an output. So we'll want a serialized field, private. Oh, that was my door. Thank you. Bye. The postman with some bills. So we need a private inventory item data, and this will be the crafted item. Let's return that. So that'll output a sword. May need to expand this to have like an amount of the item that is put out. So for example, if you're making torches, you put in one wood, one coal, you get out 5 torches. I mean, if that was the case, then we could rename this struct to something else, and instead of amount required, it could just be a generic amount. So then I'd have a list of ingredients and then an output. Or we could just have a serialized field, private int, crafted amount. I'll just set that equal to 1. I'm going to put a min range on that of 1, sorry. So now we can see that we're going to get 1 sword out from this crafting recipe. Right, so I mean that seems all well and good. So now what do we do with a crafting recipe? I guess we will I'm gonna need to actually pick up those items, be able to pick those items up in the world. So let's just jump into Blender and make a very quick, just a very simple kind of model. So we want a wooden stick. So we'll do a mesh cylinder. We'll do 6 vertices. How big is that? That's very big. I don't need to put too much effort into this. So that's voila, that is a stick. And it is a brown stick. Just discover your channel, check out your content. Can't stay on live, but we'll be back. Thanks for the great content. No worries, John. Thanks for the comment. I'm glad you like the channel so far. Hopefully see you around. So we've got our stick. So let's export that. So file. Thanks, Headshot. So nice that you're liking the content. Just got assets. Make a models folder, and then we can call this the stick. And then let's make just a lump of iron, which can be a icosphere. I think that could look like a bit of iron. Just one thing, your Patreon page, the links from your Google Drive can be read. Add a bit of text above them so non-subs can't read them. Ah, okay. Can they click them though? I'll have to look into that. Thanks for flagging that. That'll be something I can look into. This isn't an efficient way of doing this, just having lots of materials, but let's assign rock to that and then metal to this one. Import it in. Models stick. Yeah, so let's extract those materials. I'm just going to do it in here. So there's our stick. May need to change that, but whatever. So we've got our thing. It's not going to be smooth. And it's not metallic. So that's fine. Compared to the rest of the items, they're actually quite small, so let's just bring them up a bit. So no, you'd have to write them out, but okay. Good shout. I will sort that. Thank you. There we go. I'd say that's see that one. I mean, these items are too big anyway. I didn't make those, they were from a pack, but I don't hate how big they are on the ground, so let's just scale it up a bit more. I mean, yeah, it's not perfect, but this isn't the point of what I'm trying to do. So let's go to our items. I'm just gonna copy our wizard hat. And then I need just need a sprite for it. Image, no, camera. Yeah, projects. Iron sprite. Again, these aren't, you know, anything to write home about. They're not that nice looking, but gets the job done. It just needs something to go in there. Okay, so they should be... Oh, wait, no. I need to put them on my item data. So for the icon, go for the iron sprite. For the wood. Wood. Wood sprite. And then... I need to think of a way of automating this, really. So what's this? Is the stick? And then we've got the iron. Clicked on the wrong folder. Iron prefabs. Iron. So I should be able to pick them up now, and they'll appear in my inventory. So we've got a stick and some iron. Cogs. I absolutely hate that it's triggered me. I want to fix it, but you know, these are all temporary stuff anyway. I just wanted something visual in there. So let's actually copy some of these around so we can actually pick them up. So you can see that we can now pick up all of these. Just hide gizmos. I've only got one, so I need to make my backpack bigger. I can sell them in the shop. That's all working dynamically. Oh, that's a bit annoying. It won't scroll down properly. I need to fix that. Yeah, I'll have to sort that. That's not a now job though. Okay, so we've dumped a load of items on the ground over there. Let's close this. So now we need to set up like a crafting bench. Or some sort of system, because we might want to be able to craft in our backpack as well. I mean, I'll go for the bench route first, and then we can always change it if needed to accommodate that. So let's make a new script. Workbench. Actually, I'm going to rename that to a crafting bench. Gonna put that. This is an interface that I've been using for my interaction system. So, what we need to do. Why is that gonna? It needs to be out, so interact successful. I'll just have true for now for that. So let's actually make, I guess, a cube. Actually, I've got these pre-downloaded prefabs. I think there's a good... there might be a workbench in here. Wooden barrel, window wall. There's tables. Let's just use this crafting bench. Just gonna put it there. And while we're at it, why not just have some tools on there, just so we know exactly what it is. And this is so unnecessary for what I was trying to do. But I like to make stuff look nice, even temporarily, just because it kind of makes me feel well, a little bit more accomplished. I don't know, does anyone else get a bit sick of prototyping and just having ugly prototypes? I like to have some graphics in there, even if they're just rubbish temporary ones. I just feel it motivates me a little bit more. So, I could have used that as a bit of like Mel or whatever. Oh, and one last thing. Let's have a beer on the crafting bench. Let's have a nice cold brewski. Oh, no. Hello, rate the game. Rate which game? Ugh, just drank a pear. That wasn't very nice. So we've got our crafting bench here. Let's add our crafting bench script to it. Okay, so now I need to bring up some sort of interface when the crafting script, when the player interacts with the crafting bench. I suppose I can do I can try and just do this through code first before I start putting like a UI together to sort of make sure it all works. So just for now, let's do a serialized field private crafting recipe. Called active recipe. Because the way I imagine this is going to work is that you'll select from a list of recipes that the player knows, like on the left-hand side of the screen, and then on the right-hand side, it'll display. There'll just be a craft button, and then it'll display how many people, how many of the item is in the player's inventory. So at any one time, there's only going to be one active recipe, so that's fine. So then I guess we'd have I'm just going to serialize this so I can see it in the inspector. A private list of crafting ingredients. No. Dictionary. So private dictionary. Oh, I suppose I could have done. No, but you can't really serialize dictionaries very well. Could have just had a dictionary instead of making a list of that struct, but I don't think that would have serialized very well in the inspector. Oh, well, I suppose actually, we're not going to need, I'm not going to do it like Minecraft where you actually have to drag the items in, it's just going to read it from the player's inventory. So all we need to know at this stage, I guess, is the active recipe. And then we need to check that against the player's inventory. And if they have everything that's required by the recipe, then we can allow them to craft it. So actually I need a private inventory system reference to the player inventory, which we can get from our interactor. So say player inventory is equal to interactor.getComponent player inventory. Oh, yeah, that needs to be player, type of player inventory. I'm pretty sure that's how I do that. Interact, player interactor.get, yeah, okay. Sorry, it was a while since I set up that NPC script. I haven't had to actually do that for a couple of weeks. Always good to make sure that that's the thing. So when we interact, we can get the component, the player inventory. And then from the player inventory, I implemented this new thing for our shop. So if I go over to player inventory and then down into the actual inventory system, I can get all of the items that a player's held in a nice dictionary format. So it's every item and the amount of items that that they've got. So let's go to our crafting bench. I'm just gonna make a new script. Check if can craft. And I'll only do this if player inventory is not equal to null. Then we need to loop over. So for every ingredient in our active recipe dot ingredients, ow, oh. Actually, this should return a bool. I'll change that to if it equals null. Then we'll say, wait. it'll return. So in here we can say if check if can craft, then we'll do something. So in here we're going to check every ingredient, and we need to see whether all items held, this dictionary, items held, contains the key. So if items held dot contains key, ingredient, this will be try get value. Ingredient dot item required, and then out int amount held. So if ingredient dot item dot amount required is not no, is less than amount held, then we need to break out of the loop. Oh, we can just return false, and that'll get us out of the loop anyway. But if every item is equal or greater than the amount held, then we can return true. And that wants us to invert that if. Also, I guess that should be return false there as well. Because if we don't have the item, then we can't craft. If we do have the item but we don't have enough of it, then we can't craft. And if all of those pass, then we can craft it. So if we can craft, then we need to take the items out of the player's inventory. And then give them the sword. Or whatever the thing is from the recipe. So check if can craft. So they can craft. So then we have this function here. Remove items from inventory, which again I did for the shop. So when we sell items, we have to take them out of the inventory. So we've got a crafting bench, so we can just say player inventory. So if we can craft for each item in, it's this again, isn't it? So for each ingredient in our ingredients list, we are going to get the player inventory and get the inventory system and remove items from inventory. And ingredient and ingredient dot item required, ingredient dot amount required. Then once that's done, player dot inventory dot inventory system dot add to inventory the player inventory no active recipe dot crafted item and active recipe dot crafted amount. So I mean that should in theory work. In practice it won't, but in theory it will. So we've got our sword recipe here. So a reminder, this recipe needs 1 stick and 3 iron. So let's try that. So let's get some iron. Oh wait, I've just realized I don't think I need to put a collider. I just need to put a collider on this so the actual interaction thing will work. What's going on here? Let's move it up to there. Okay, so we've got 6 iron, 1 stick. If I interact with our thing, it's not working. Because why would it? Alright, let's see what's going on. NPC. Just make sure I've not put them on a different layer. Shopkeeper. So let's take that out. If player inventory doesn't equal null, we shall check this. Was that why? Because I hadn't set up the interaction script properly. All right, let's get some debugs. Debug.logs in. So debug.log. Interacting with workbench. Player inventory is not null. Checking if can craft items. So I think that should be amount held is less than amount ingredient. Maybe that was what the problem was. Ingredient dot amount required. Oh, there we go. It works. I think it was because I had the thing. I was checking the wrong thing. I was checking the. It was that switch I did, I think, that fixed that. So let's do that again. Well, I don't have any space, which I'm not actually checking in the inventory, so this will take it. But it won't add the sword, because I don't have enough items. And that actually brings me on to a change that I should probably make. That if we add an item to the player's inventory, but their inventory's full, well, there are two options. We can check whether the item, if the inventory's full. If it is, we won't let them do it. Or we can do it, but then just drop the item on. If it's full, the inventory will just spawn the item on the ground instead of in its inventory. Which I think is a more elegant solution than just not letting players craft. I don't know, I guess that's just a game design decision. But let's go. So crafting bench. Check if can craft. So if we can, it's going to add to inventory. So here we're going to say if contains item, we'll add it. If there's enough room left in the stack. If there's not enough room left in the stack, we're going to see if there's a free slot. And if there's not a free slot, then we'll need to spawn it on the ground. But this script has no what do you call it? It has no sort of, it's not a mono behavior, it's not attached to anything, so probably have to go through the, oh no, I am going through, go to the player inventory version of this instead of manipulating the inventory system directly, because then in here this returns a bool anyway, because this is how you check if you're walking over an item, should you get picked up. If not, it just stays on the ground. So here, before we return false, because this is attached to something, what we can do is instantiate data dot physical representation at the transform dot position plus the layer transform dot forward times by a bit of an offset, and with just its own normal rotation. Okay, so our inventory is completely full now. If I try and craft this, so you see that did it take the items out? It took the items out of our inventory, but it's made these. Oh, it's still doing it. Ah. Oh, okay. It's because they're items that we're dropping on the ground. I've been trying to pick them up, but then when we're not picking them up, it's spawning a new one. Which we don't want. I guess I could just put a bool on here, so like should spawn. Set it to false by default, and then in our crafting bench, it can drop it on the ground. I'll do spawn item on fail, and then we can just say if spawn item on fail, then we'll instantiate it. And then over on our crafting bench, we'll just pass in true. Okay, so that's sorted that problem out. Okay, so we're not picking any of these up now. So let's go sell some stuff to the shop. We'll sell our swords because they don't stack. Neither do our hats. So let's sell them. Make a bit of money, make some room. Go back over and we can probably pick up these swords again. So there was 2 swords on the ground. I mean, okay, that was surprisingly easy and trouble-free. So now we need to build a UI around it, really. So I'm thinking, do we have okay, let's start building the UI. So I'm going to do a similar thing to the shop UI, actually. So we'll have a list here of crafting. You can have tabs across to filter the different crafting items. This side will be slightly different, obviously. So for ease, let's just copy canvas, shop UI controller. Let's just duplicate that and we'll hide the old one. Crafting UI controller. Remove that. I'm just gonna go fill up my drinks. I'll be back in a sec. Got a drink and a yogurt. That's all I need. Oh, we're at 3 of 5 on the daily sub goal. Very good, thank you. Most recent sub, Ruben. Thanks for subscribing if you're watching. Okay, so we're going to build our UI. Little panel, window right. So we don't need the shopping cart area. We can have the item preview. And then we want a we're going to want to have a grid of objects that can spawn. It's going to show us dynamically kind of what we need to what the ingredients are and how many of the ingredients we've got. So let's make this ingredient grid. Then under that we're going to want it's going to be similar to our inventory slot. So let's just duplicate our inventory slot UI and have this as an ingredient slot UI. Maybe we don't want a layout group. Instead, let's have a grid. There we go. So now we can add kind of, you know, however many ingredients are required. And let's add a bit of padding, spacing. Let's add a bit of spacing to our slots. Let's open up this prefab. Just got a sprite and a count, a selection outline. I've not been using that. I probably should, but so I'll just put a temporary sprite in just so we can see what we're doing. Item count. So show how many of the item that we need for the crafting. So let's get rid of this inventory slot UI script, and instead we can have a new script. Call this ingredient slot UI. I mean, really, these should all derive from a shared kind of parent class, so I'll do that in my own time. For now, it's just as easy to copy and paste them across, but yeah, really, these should all be like item slot UIs, and then we'll have different ones like branching from them. Based on our functionality. Currently we can click them. I don't think we need buttons for these because it's just for display. Did that? So our sprite in our sprite. See, there's a load of functionality here that would go. But this is going to be slightly different. Ingredient slots. So, you're going to want a private inventory item data script, and we'll call this the ingredient. I'll probably have to link them back up now to change them. So ingredient and yeah, will I need to store reference to that? I don't think so. Do public void init. This will take in inventory item data called data int amount. And we'll set the item sprite dot sprite equal to the data dot icon. And sprite dot color equal to white. Item count dot text equal to the amount dot toString. Well, you don't need toString, it'll do it anyway. I don't know. Do you? Yeah, you do. I'm sprite dot preserve aspect equal to true. I'm gonna make a new script for this one called crafting display. UI scripts, where are they? Crafting display. So it's going to be similar to the shopkeeper display. Let's just open that up. So this is going to have a private ingredient slot UI called ingredient slot prefab. Have a serialized field, private, transform. This would be the ingredient grid. We can copy this over. This is for the item display section. It's going to want a reference to a private crafting bench called crafting bench. So then when it opens, when the display is opened, it can get the crafting bench and access its methods. On our main UI controller, UI manager, we can do serialized field, private shop, private crafting display, crafting window parent. Public static unity action, which passes in a crafting bench. We'll call this on crafting display requested. So here, this kind of logic should be done on the crafting display. So I'll deal with that in a second. Let's just just going to comment that out for now. So when we interact, we're going to say on crafting display requested, and we're going to invoke and pass in our self. Hey party people. Hey Jason, thanks for stopping by. On crafting display requested. I've already got that, obviously. Let's move that down. Well, what's that one doing on our other display? UI manager, what? Oh yeah, just completely missed it from the list. Okay. So we're going to display our crafting window, which is going to set our crafting bench equal to our crafting bench. Then we will refresh the display. We will clear slots. Okay, so instead of having an active recipe, we can make a list of known recipes. This all needs to get moved over to the display in a second, so let's comment that out. Public list of crafting recipe. Ingredient. For each item in the crafting bench known recipes, we need another prefab. Move this into crafting. I need to do some project organization. This is going to be our crafting item. Craft list item UI. So it's going to have I guess I'll have all of the same sort of stuff. We've got the item sprite, item name, item amount. I think to show how many of the item is going to craft, would we have X5 or no, I don't think we... How many would get? No, that'd be on the right-hand panel. So let's get rid of the sprite. Well, let's move the name down. Let's get rid of that button. And for this button, I'll just leave it as a plus for now because we're adding it to the crafting sort of section of it. Hi, Cottontail Studio. Thanks for joining. For leaving a comment. And if Quizmo22 is around, thanks for subscribing and getting me closer to that daily sub goal. Alright, so we've got a crafting list item. We need to make a script on it. Trying to keep them all. I want to keep them all sort of named well. So I think I can name that the same as the prefab. Oh, Kasim? Sorry if I've said that wrong. Thanks for commenting. We're gonna do let's call this a recipe slot is equal to instantiate. And we're going to instantiate the craft list item UI and make it a child of the recipe list panel. Cannot resolve method instantiate. Candidates are craft assignment instantiate crafts. Why is that not working? So instantiate the shop slot craft list item UI. Instantiate that. And recipe list.panel.transform. Very silly of me. So then we're going to get our recipe slot and we can init, which is going to be an initialize function, which is going to pass in the recipe that we are looking at. And what this is going to do is it's going to serialize field, private image, recipe sprite, serialize field, private, text, mesh, pro U GUI. Recipe name. Recipe sprite dot image dot sprite is equal to our recipe dot crafted item dot icon, and recipe name dot text is equal to our recipe dot crafted item dot display name. Then we need a button. So serialized field, private button. Let's call it button. Wait, did I not craft list item UI? Did I? Oh. Bloody hell. I ruined the wrong one. I edited the wrong bloody thing. Shop item. Okay, so this is the remove amount. We don't need the item amount, just need the item name. The add amount button, let's move that down there. So we've got our item sprite, item name, and the add amount button. Okay, so when we open up the display, we can initialize it with the recipe and pass in a reference to ourself. And then when we click the plus button, then we're going to tell the display to update the crafting item on the right hand side. So update chosen crafting, update chosen recipe, public void. Crafting recipe. So we can set recipe equal to recipe. And then we can say public void on button clicked. And then we can just say if parent display equals null, then return. And if not, then we can call parent display dot update chosen recipe, and we can pass in the recipe. We just need to make sure, actually, in on awake, the button dot add on click dot add listener, and we're going to add in the on button clicked method. So in here, I'm going to have a private crafting recipe, chosen recipe. And then we can set chosen recipe dot is equal to recipe. And then we can refresh recipe window, which is going to be another method which will control Frost GameDev. Hi Dan. Hi Frost. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I'm going to have a game object, taking a game object, and this can be the transform to destroy. Shall I take in a transform? So then here, I'm going to refresh the list display. Passing in our recipe list panel dot transform. Here I can clear slots and I can pass in our ingredient grid. And then here I can say for each item in chosen recipe dot ingredients. Each ingredient in chosen recipe dot ingredients, we are going to instantiate our craft list item UI. Oh wait, no we're not. We're gonna spawn an ingredient slot UI prefab. It's going to be attached to the ingredient grid. Just transform, and then we're going to ingredient slot. And then we're going to initialize the ingredient slot, and that's going to take in some data. So we're going to take in the ingredient dot item required, and then the ingredient amount required. Okay, let's see how far, like, let's just try this. I can't think whether I've done this now. Just need to make sure everything's set up. So crafting UI controller. So let's drag in our ingredient grid panel. We need the craft list item UI object. We need the ingredient slot prefab. Okay, I'm fully expecting this not to work. But let's just see. So known recipes, so let's give it the sword recipe. Oh, I need to come to our UI manager and pass in our crafting display. Okay, that worked. I need to delete these first, so they start empty. The ingredient slot, this craft list item. I need to move the button back up. Not that any of this looks good at the minute anyway. What we can do as well is we can set up the item preview. So we've got clear item preview, but we need to refresh item preview. Or display item preview, which will take in a inventory item data, called data. So display.white, data.icon, data.display name, data.description. So I'm thinking maybe the display thing, if we keep using that in different places, maybe we should just make that its own script, because this is the exact same sort of code we have over here. But again, I want to get this set up working, and then I'll go through and tidy it. So when we refresh the recipe window, we want to display the item preview as well, and we can pass in, I guess, the chosen recipe dot crafted item dot icon. Oh no, just be crafted item. And I'm actually going to put... Oh, awesome, I've got to my daily sub goal. 5 out of 5. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kasim, for the sub. I need to move the goalpost now, I think. So what I want to do next then, so we've got our, oh, why is that? Ooh, why is that running at 30 frames a second all of a sudden? Is it because I'm in prefab mode? Oh, that was weird. It's because I had a prefab open. So if we go over here and open up our display, so there's nothing here on the right hand side of the panel. We've got our sword, so we're going to choose to craft our sword, and we can see its icon, its name, its description, and the required ingredients. So now I just need to have sort of 2 buttons showing, I guess, a plus and minus, just to kind of increase how many you want to make, which is obviously going to increase how many it needs. So these will just be times by the amount that we're trying to craft. And then before we actually craft them, we're going to have to check whether the player has all of that. But we've got that set up anyway from earlier. I'll do that in a sec. I'm just checking out Discord. Okay, sorry about that. I was just catching up with something on Discord. So let's get some buttons in place now for choosing the amount that we actually want to craft, and kind of updating all of this to display that. So let's turn our crafting UI controller back on and take a look at it. Okay, so we've got our ingredient grid, which is there. So we want 2 buttons, UI button, and this is our increase craft amount button, which is should be a child of the right, and then let's place that down here. Then we want a decrease craft amount button as well. Text desired craft amount. So for now, I'll just leave it like this. Again, this is all sort of temporary UI, proof of concept. It's not the nicest looking thing, I know. As long as it's working script-wise, I can always change this in the future. So under that, I guess we just want a craft button. Crafty. Craft. Okay, that looks ridiculous and ugly. I'm very aware. Let's just see how it all works if we do that. So, yep. So that seems like it's spaced out well enough. Right, back to our crafting display. We've got the item display section, ingredient window. So under here, we need serialized field, private button. And this will be the add increase craft amount button and the decrease craft amount button. Text mesh, pro u GUI, desired craft amount text. And then we'll need an int that is actually keeping track of the desired craft amount. Let's make an awake function, and we'll say increase craft amount button dot onClick dot add listener increase craft amount. Actually, let's make a function just called change craft amount that can take in an int. So change. And then we can say, oh, this. Oh, I don't want this to be a Unity action, do I? Public void. Oh, what would the syntax for that be? Yeah, there we go. If change craft, if desired craft amount is less than, oh yeah, less than or equal to 0. And let's just return, because we don't want to decrease it too much. And then we can set the, oh, this should be plus equals, not minus equals. And then desired craft amount text is equal to the desired craft amount .toString. Why is that not working? Oh, because it's less than or equal to 0, obviously. In that case, I just want to clamp it to 0. And I could actually say if desired craft amount is less than or equal to 0 and amount to add is less than 0, then return. So basically we're not going to be able to minus anything from our desired craft amount if it's at 0. But if it is, then we can do it once and it'll just cap it to 0. So let's try that. So we can't go below 0. We can go up the lists. I need desired craft amount to default to. Oh, it needs to be 1, really, doesn't it? Because you're not going to craft 0 of something. So let's clamp it to 1. And then I could add like another button that adds 5 on or something. Or we could turn this into an input field so players could type in an amount. That would be something that we could do. So when we refresh the recipe window, we want to clear the ingredient slots. Oh, am I still playing? So we want to clear the recipe slots, clear slots. I'm actually going to go to the UI manager and on awake, I want to set the crafting window parent.game object to false as well. Crafting displays. We're going to clear the slots. We want to hide the buttons. Oh no, we want to show the buttons. Button dot game object dot show set active to true. Because we want to hide them initially. can we set them unactive but still have listeners to them, or do we need to do that here? I don't know if it's like events where if it's not active, you're best off just removing all of the listeners from it, just so there's no kind of errors, and then we can just add the listener to it when we refresh the recipe window. And here we only want to do this if they're already hidden. So we can say if decrease craft amount button dot active is active, is not active, then let's do this. Then we will spawn in the ingredient slots. So when we change our craft amount, that's doing that. So then we need I'm going to need to keep a list of these slots so then we can change the amount that's displayed of the amount required. So, because we're going to have to times that by the desired amount. So let's make a private, oh god, is that the time? I'm gonna have to go in a second. Private list of ingredients slot UI. And we'll call this ingredient slots. Equal to a new list of ingredients slot UI, and then we can say that when we clear the ingredient grid, then we can say dot clear. Then I'll just set it to a new to make sure it's completely clear. So a new list, and then let's add ingredient ingredient slots dot add, and we will add in an ingredient slot. And then I'll do a public void update required amount, which will take in an amount. And that can, I could do this. And we may want to do a little bit more jewelry pokery on that. For example, turning it red if we don't have enough in our inventory. So let's have a bool. Player has required items. Well, I set this to true by default, so let's just assume it's true. But we can say if player has required items, if they don't have the required items, then let's set the item count.text equal to item count.color equal to color.red for now. So that's just a little bool there that we can use to turn the color red, or we'll turn it back white if it's not already white. I'll set that up later. So we've got a crafting display. So for each ingredient, let's spawn that with the amount required. We're going to reset the the desired craft amount back to 1. Okay, I'm going to need another method, private void refresh recipe slots, refresh recipe grid. Then what that can do is it can do this. Oh, wait, no, I don't want to instantiate them, do I? So instead, what I want to do is I just want to do a for each loop. So for each ingredient in our ingredient slots, we can just say slot ingredient slot dot update required amount and set that equal to to the chosen recipe dot ingredients no, well, I'm doing this list, so for each ingredient in our ingredients if I then need to loop through every slot in ingredient slots, and then if slot dot I'm gonna have to keep a reference to the data, aren't I? So I can do public inventory item data assigned data. is equal to ingredient dot item required. Then we'll do slot dot update required amount to our ingredient dot amount required times by our desired craft amount. I think that's right. Let's try it. Let's pick up some stuff. Oh no, we don't need to pick up stuff. I've done it now. So we're gonna want to craft a sword. One sword is 1 and 3. Oh, ugh, stupid. I didn't call this. Okay, so that's increasing based on thingy. So I'm gonna have to go now, but the kind of next step that I'm probably not going to end up doing it on stream. I'll just be plotting away at my own time. But the next step is to be able to hit the craft button and craft the items. Obviously, doing some checks first, like we did earlier on. We're just going to copy that code over. Check to make sure the player has this amount of ingredients in their inventory, and if they do, craft it, remove it from the inventory, add 14 swords to their inventory. If they can't fit in the inventory, then we'll obviously drop them on the ground. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. So that was like 2.5 hours I've been streaming, and we've got a UI set up, got crafting system, so I'm quite happy with that. Thanks for watching, everyone. There's been 84 views during the course of the stream, so I appreciate every one of them. And the 6 subs as well, that's great. 6 out of 5 of my daily sub goal. Abel Sosa Torrendell. Thanks for subscribing, and yeah, I'll see you in the future on a future stream.